Namaskar and very good evening to all. In the series of Education for Life, today we have discussion on harmonizing education. The guest for today is Ms. Mrudula Kulkarni, Adawadkar. She is founder, facilitator, mentor of Beyond Classroom, which is situated at Pune. She conducts teacher training in art integration and teaching modules. She also conducts how to communicate mathematics in an interesting and creative way. I welcome Mrudula ji. Namaskar.
Namaskar.
As we know that learning is an active process. When classrooms becomes emotionally, mentally, and physically healthy places, learning becomes easier and tension-free, or rather stress-free. The cohesion between teacher and student is enhanced. The learning is effective and almost permanent. Coming to you, Mrudula ji, harmony is the highest form of wisdom. To attain harmony with ourselves, we need to understand ourselves first. We need to understand and analyze the activities we perform every second to better comprehend an actual harmony with ourselves. Your take on harmony, and then harmony with mind and self and surrounding.
Yes. So as we all know that education, especially if we refer this harmony to education and how to find this harmony. So basically there has to be harmony between the, the learner and his family members, the learners and his society, the learner and his educators. So when we are having this harmony together, then we can say that, yes, this is a harmonious platform where the child is learning. Like if we think about the family background, basically we emphasis on dialogue. So the learner has to, the parents should provide an environment, a learning environment where the student, where the child can have a free dialogue with his parents. He can discuss and fearlessly he can put forth his ideas, and thereby he can go ahead with his own pace, with his own capabilities in life. Secondly, we can talk about harmony with society. So I think society also has to treat students as a special entity. That has been happening right from the beginning in Indian culture. Like we have special, like in Maharashtra, we had a tradition of like Madhukari in ancient, in old days. Like the young students who are studying, they never, and if they are poor, then many families in the society, they used to take care of them. Like once a week, the child, the student, I will not say child, the student used to go to the family, and that family, they are not parents, they are not relatives. They will take care of that student because he is a student. So it was taken up as a social responsibility. And when we talk about now, we are going into now we are into a different educational scenario where we have educational institutes and college schools where the parents are paying fees and sending their children. So in this scenario, now we have a great responsibility on teachers. So it is the responsibility of teacher to create the harmonious classroom environment. It is the responsibility of management to create the harmonious environment in the institution among their employees. And thereby, the whole scenario is going to impact the child, the learner, in his learning and education.
Rightly said that it is the environmental impact which is being consciously and carefully created by the family members first of all, and then subsequently surrounding neighbors, friends, relatives, and ultimately formal education means school level. So first I'm coming to parenting. So we try our best. We try our best to impart with our birds and kids. But unfortunately, there is a formula that grooming of a child lesser than 5 years is different than grooming of a child of 8 years or 15 years. So if you can categorize, the methods, the careful nuances while dealing with your kids, especially the relationship between parent and a kid.
Yes, actually, even as per new education policy, also now this age group, uh, 3 to 8, 0 to 6, this has been brought into the stream or mainstream of education. And the basic idea is because of brain studies which have revealed that most of the brain development happens at the age of 0 to 8. So why to waste that time, and how to utilize that time in manifestation of education in the child's life? So definitely at that age, the definition of education we have to reframe. We have to redesign the definition of education at that age. If we are considering 0 to 6 years age, 0 to 8 years age, and then we already have a system where we are providing education from standard 8, like 5 to 16, school education. And now as per RTE, now we have uh, the rule that the child at up to 14 age of 14 should get free, has a right to free education.
Education.
So this is what is the what this is what his policy is saying. And we are now bringing, means 0 to 14, 0 to 16, all age group is now coming under the framework of education. So now it is the responsibility of educators and policymakers to frame, the framework is already there, national curriculum framework is already there, and now states are working on each of the framework. Each state is going to create their own curriculum, because 0 to 6 age is like they speak their mother tongue, they are not used to with the common language like English, or today which we consider as language of uh, knowledge. So that child has to understand his surroundings in his local language with local people. And accordingly, the responsibility is given on each state, because that curriculum has to be created by local people who live around the child, who speak the language of the child, who know the culture in which the child is born. And that curriculum is to be designed by those people who know the child and who know the legacy of the child. So in this way, now the all over India, this forming of curriculum is going on. And many of the states have already framed the curriculum, and they have already started with the activities. Like in Gujarat, it is started, in Uttar Pradesh, it is started, in Rajasthan also now they are on the verge of completing their curriculum, school curriculum. And now in Maharashtra also, here uh, the committee has been formed, and the framework and the best practices and how to integrate them together, everything is going on here. Now, in this scenario, the best approach is giving the child opportunity to learn as per his qualities. Like what you were mentioning, that like learning for as per aspirations is different, and learning as per abilities is different. So now in this uh, new scenario of education in India, the child should get equal opportunity to study as per his capabilities. If the child likes music, so he can choose music as a main subject at school level. So this is what is the scenario today, but still we have yet to go ahead and frame the evaluation system. And
So it will be appropriate to say that the national curriculum framework is student centric or rather individual student centric.
framework and policies are always good. they are always designed while keeping in mind the learner. But when we implement the things at ground level, then there was a big lacuna of framing of curriculum. And that curriculum was not ready. That curriculum was not local till now. So now what the main change in today's policy is diversifying the curriculum at primary age. Child should groom uh, in his own environment, in his own habitat. So whatever he is eating, like if a child is studying at uh, if a child is studying A, B, C, D. So F for fan does not carry any sense for a child who is staying at Ladakh,
Correct.
because they don't use fans, they use
Won't be
fire.
able to correlate with it.
Right. So this is how, or the child studying in South India, they have got hot environment. So probably that child will relate F for fan. But the child studying in Ladakh, he should be taught F for fire. So this is, I mean to say, that the local element which we are going to bring in the education.
Right. So learning is a relatively lasting change in behavior. That is a result of an experience one a student goes through. Rather, I'll say it is acquiring information, knowledge, and subsequently skills. So for me, this is a process-driven, method rather than end result method. So far, we have been emphasizing only on grade, CGPA, percentage, and so coaching culture that evolved because of,
Hmm.
if you learn mug up this much of thing, then you will be able to get this much of result. So it was more or less end result oriented learning process rather than process. So
Right.
of course, many parents, they might still be fascinated with the marks and great CGPAs. So how to make a balance? Process is equally important, or end result is not important, as per your opinion.
Uh, End result is definitely important, but I think the parents and student have to, both of them have to really understand the potential of the child. Like, um, we have to encourage the natural talent of the child. We should never forget this. Every child is born with something special. Uh, every child is having some special capacity in it. We have to identify, as parents we have to identify, or as parents and teachers and educators, we have to create an environment where the child will be able to identify his own potential, what he is good at, so that he can pursue his path to life, to career. So today, what is the picture that, like, parents are imposing something, and there are thousands of lakhs of students appearing for NEET exam, like lakhs of students, and the admissions are only in thousands. So 16 lakh people this year, 22 lakh students appeared for NEET. How many seats are there? How many students are appearing? Do all 22 lakh students have capability to crack that exam? Can they study as per the demand of that exam? Or is it their cup of tea, really, naturally, which nature has given them?
Imposed
So
aspiration.
this is how we have to make student understand that if you have not passed NEET, that does not mean you are very less in your life. Like a doctor, a teacher, an engineer, how can we make grades among them? These are different professions. Like in Indian culture, we had all those cultures, like around the villages. So someone used to weave clothes, someone used to make pots, someone used to make, means all these are life skills which were useful at that time. So whatever life skills are useful today, there are a lot of fields available, and the child is not having 8 different kinds of intelligence. So explore and just enjoy, let the child enjoy education.
So in between this, responding this question, you used capability. So I would like to address these terms: capability, capacity, and aspiration. Are you there?
Hello,
Huh. So I request
can
you
you
to
please?
throw more light on these terms: capability, capacity, and aspiration.
See, capability means something which nature has given, right? Like there was an athlete from West Bengal. He was just 12 years old, and he had got natural talent, so he could run a longer distance. So that was his natural talent. Sachin Tendulkar is having his own natural talent, or there are the many famous personalities which we think. Secondly, aspiring something as per our qualities is important. That is what I feel. So you explore. So during school age, till 10th standard, you explore yourself. Do everything. Do every activity that comes your way. Participate in all the activities which are going on in schools. Whether you are becoming successful or not, that is another story. But students should explore themselves. They should not like today. No, I cannot speak. No, I cannot play. It is not the way. It is school is a controlled environment where every child should get opportunity to participate. Like in our school, in school gathering, we used to bring every child on stage. You have to come on stage. Let it be for 1 minute. You don't want for a longer time, you come for 1 minute. But you have to come there. You should take that feel. How it feels when you are on the stage and 100 people are sitting in front of you, and you should have that courage to face that audience. So that experience the child will never forget. So school responsibility of school is this: to expose child without having any selection, expose the child to every scenario of life. Like it is an experimental field, just like a laboratory of life for the child. Today's schools are having competitions within schools. That is totally against the concept of school. So, competition is outside the school, in the outside world, and the child is preparing himself, exploring himself, and finding his best suit field outside the school. So, there should not be any competition within the school. Of course, we must appreciate those who are doing something good, but then we have to increase our database of subjects a lot in school. So, like there are many aspects of a personality which remain unexplored in school. So if we can give opportunity, like today we have an excellent tool of formative education, formative evaluation in school, where nobody is going to ask a question to the teacher that why you have evaluated this child in this way. Like there was a student of me. She was very good in dance, but she was not good at mathematics. So she has choreographed entire uh, the dance play on the solar system. So she must have thought a lot on it: costumes, the choreography, the formations, the casting the students for each um, like character. So much she has thought of. So I just asked her to write everything. And she was from my class. I was her class teacher. I asked her, you write the script. I submitted it to the language teacher. I asked her how much costing you got for this. I took it as maths assignment. I asked her why you have chosen this particular costume. Give it to geography teacher. Then give it to science teacher, geography teacher. The formation will be given to geography teacher. Make a drawing of your formations. Give it to your art teacher. This kind of assignment has to be given to the students. So this is how she completed her assignments. She enjoyed her time. And why should we think that, why should we want a child to make model of a cube only? If the child is capable of making a model of a dance play on stage, isn't it? Means we are shortening their capabilities. So this is how we have to think about when we are evaluating the capabilities. And this is how we are going to encourage the aspirations. Now, today, this girl is having her own dance school.
Wonderful. So that's why it is a process oriented.
Right, right. And one more example I would like to give, that I had one student who never used to study maths, but he was fond of insects. Like, he used to catch insects and bring it to the class every time. So somehow he was just he passed in mathematics, but now today he is having his own travel agency where he is arranging tours, special tours, where he is giving his expert guidance, he is giving his expert knowledge to the students. So he is arranging field trips for the students.
Wonderful.
He himself is only 12th pass, but he is guiding. His observations are used by PhD students.
Oh,
So whenever PhD students want to go to forest, they take him with. So they want him to accompany them because he knows the forest in and out. So how can we say this person is uneducated? Do we have any facility to evaluate this child in our system? So if no, then please respect that child.
right. So this is how we have been practicing our education system in ancient time, and now we have recoined the this term ancient wisdom as Indian knowledge system. So NEP has also endorsed a lot about Indian knowledge system. In what way Indian knowledge system can be incorporated in school education?
Yes, I would like to share some presentation on this so that
Please.
I can explain my points. So, as we have discussed about education policy, I also have to mention about NAS report. It is National Achievement Survey report. And based on this, the ranking of states is done. Not only this, the ranking of uh, schools is also done. Still, we are not up to the mark in mathematics as per NAS report. And there are a lot of things going on. Many IRTs are into this process now for designing something for the students where we can engage students and connect them to our Indian knowledge system so that they will not feel disconnected from the roots and they will develop the interest in the subject. So the need for improvement and coping the COVID effect among students, we have to improve the quality of education in students. So now we have included the multidisciplinary approach in this. So basically, why we want to educate the child? Today's need is innovation. But innovation is not going to bloom on its own. We have to create some ground through which these flowers are going to bloom. So the very first ability is critical thinking, analytical thinking, problem solving, and collaboration. And of course, these are mentioned as the 21st century skills of a child. And in our education policy, also these skills are mentioned. So when we are going to um, have multidisciplinary approach in education, and this approach where we are articulating the knowledge of one field into another. So multidisciplinary approach is basically to bring the knowledge of one knowledge stream is to apply the knowledge of one knowledge stream into the other knowledge stream. And for this application, Um, uh, so this application is bringing the problem solving to us. This is problem solving. And this requires analytical thinking. And this is coming through art integrated modules. So when we are having art integration, and then we will be implementing, we will be applying the knowledge of art, the knowledge of science, knowledge of mathematics to solve our day-to-day life problems. Like few students, my students have designed an instrument which can give intimation about a patient who is suffering from diabetes. Like if those patients suddenly they have fluctuations in their blood sugar levels, and they just cannot uh, have any communication, the patient just faints. So absolutely there is no communication from the patient. So this device will send a message. The moment there is ups and downs in the blood sugar level, the device will send a message to the doctor and the family member. So this has come through empathy. Like one of the child whose father is suffering from this severe diabetes, and my daughter and her friend, they are working on this device. So how they have come up to this innovation, and this was selected by Niti Aayog as top 75 innovations in India. So basically, this is coming from empathy. And empathy is being sensitive. And this sensitivity is going to come from art integration. So basically, we want art, like वो हमारे यहाँ कहते हैं ना कि how will you why will you earn? Okay. So that flower will tell you why should you earn, right? So you always should have bread in one hand and flour in another hand. So bread will survive you, and flour will give you the purpose. Why should you survive? So this is how this empathy will come to solve the problem, and this ability of critical thinking and analytical thinking will come from mathematics, and collaboration will come from their emotional question. So all these we need to bloom the flowers of innovation in our culture. So it is not that when you have completed your education, then you can become an innovator. Definitely not. An innovator is born with some capabilities. And an innovator can be created also by giving proper environment, by giving some proper training and inputs. So if we see today's curriculum of mathematics, because my subject is bringing out all these qualities through mathematics. So today the curriculum is at primary, upper primary and secondary level. The curriculum is concentric, and for some topics of statistics, it is discrete. Means that particular subject we are studying only in the in particular class. Like we are studying joint bar graph only in 7th standard. We are studying some topics of algebra. We start with standard 6, then we go on increasing the depth, and then in up to standard 10 we study quadratic equations and their roots and applications. Similarly, trigonometry starts in 7th standard, and then we study about its applications in standard 10. And in standard 11 and 12, we study integration and derivatives and its applications. Like how do all these formulae come? How this entire mathematics is created. So this is how the curriculum is going to help us. Not only this, so today's curriculum, at least at these 3 levels, is up to the mark. The only thing is that we are bringing the local element in it, which is highly going to help the students. So what are the fundamentals on which this curriculum is based? The objectives of mathematics curriculum is mainly based on literacy, numeracy, and cognition. So literacy is the language. In mathematics, if we think about mathematics education, We always say that mathematics is to be learned like art and language. So language means mathematics has got its own language, that code language of numbers, that code language of words, symbols is translated, is a translated language. So this is another language which we have to learn. So this literacy will help in understanding the mathematical education to its core. So if the child is better in language, the child can understand the numeracy in better way. So numeracy is another skill, number skill. So we always think that the numeracy starts from numbers. No, numeracy starts from there are few things which come even before numbers. The child has to understand some prepositions, and they come from language. So when the child comes to know, understands few of the prepositions like on, under, near, greater than, less than. So when he understands this, then only he will be able to understand the numeracy. And cognition, of course, all concepts are based on cognition. Main elements which we are going to bring in this curriculum is the social aspect and connection with Indian knowledge system. So we all understand that we all are taught in school that this particular scientist has invented this, and the students think that like before 19th century, no knowledge was existing in India. But then when we are teaching them trigonometry, when we are teaching them Pythagoras theorem, we have to teach them how Indian scientists have invented, how Bodhayan has invented his Shulra Sutra. How is it presented in his collection of sutras in his book? Secondly, when we are talking about languages, most of the terms are coined from Sanskrit, and most of the knowledge about knowledge in India was written in Sanskrit because that was the language spoken in India by common people. And still there are few villages who speak this language. Means it was the language of common people. It was never the language of elite. So we have to understand that this language and this knowledge is very important. And to be connected with our roots, we have to keep our connection with this knowledge system, and with those scientists who have contributed, those Indian scientists whom we call as rishis. We have to keep our connect with them. In our curriculum, if we are teaching Pythagoras, we have to teach Bodhayan also. If we are teaching um, uh, if we are teaching some structure of atom, we have to talk about Kanad also, because he was the first person before Dalton. He has proposed particulate nature of matter. So this is how in every topic, now it is the time has come that we have to establish that content. We have to establish that contact with the ancient content which our ancient rishis, philosophers have created. So this is the connection with Indian knowledge system. Yes. So considering this, here we have, I have designed three different curriculums. One is Math Explorer and Math Pro. Last 2 years, I have been running these curriculum, and first batch is out now. They have completed their graduation. So this curriculum intends towards more of mathematical thinking. Only 30% calculation and mostly 70% of mathematical thinking, critical thinking, problem solving, and problem solving using some technical tools or using some um, physical tools. Like they solve the problems using like stones, flowers. They can collect some leaves and they can solve algebra problems. It is not a big deal. Mathematics does not require a lot of costly like costly tools, right? Costly educational material. You can learn from stones, pebbles, leaves, flowers. It is all in nature. Okay, you can learn from those peanuts. Afterwards, eat it. It is good for your health. So this is how students should bring mathematics close to their life. It is not something which is in the books, right? It should not be far from their life. So when we integrate this art element in mathematics, they find it very close to their life. They find it very close to their surroundings, and then they take interest in the subject. Presently, I'm creating a curriculum for Maharashtra government under 21st century skills. So we are creating math garden, and this curriculum is for the age of 0 to 8 years old. Now these students, they are learning language, and if at that age, if they learn some skills of computational thinking, then that will be beneficial for them. And of course, we are going to design activities for them uh, to develop those skills among the students of all corporation schools and government schools. And of course, all the schools will be implementing that curriculum. So, and in all these curriculum, we have established the contact with Indian knowledge system also. So language module, math language, when the child starts speaking the language of math, like we are speaking English, we are speaking our own mother tongue, and we understand the surroundings, we express ourselves. So in this way, the child also has to learn the language of mathematics. Basically the fear for mathematics is because the child fails to understand the language, and then it becomes Chinese and Spanish for him.
We are understanding mathematics through numbers only. So numbers
Exactly.
is safe for him.
Exactly. So what we think is mathematics education starts with numbers, but mathematics education starts with math language. Children have to get familiar with the language. Like there are nouns in language, there are prepositions, there are verbs. There are verbs in mathematics. There are verbs in mathematical language. Child has to identify. There are prepositions in mathematical language. There are phrases. Hmm. So all these the child has to understand, and the child has to make familiar and make use, write statements. Like we write the I am a boy. So in the same way, the child should first write the mathematical statement. That is his first introduction to mathematics.
Through some example, if you can elaborate this with the help of example.
Yes. Like we have to find out those elements from mathematical textbook. So every child will be getting the textbook of mathematics. What he has to do with the help of course, his educator, means in our institute, what we do, we make the child sit with the book first. We are not teaching them anything, any operations, any topic. Just find the elements of language from that book. What do you get to see? Analyze that entire content. Make a table. Like this is the noun, this is the symbol, this is the alphabet, this is the word, this is the verb, this is the adjective. You just sort it out. Find out from the textbook. Turn pages. Just find out what you need. Like even if a playgroup child, 3-year-old child who does not know ABCD can identify if his name is written on the blackboard. Like child can identify Maggie, that symbol. So he identifies it with picture reading. So we are just encouraging the child to read mathematics through picture reading. Just like sight reading, we say in languages, the child will be able to read mathematics first and then analyzing the content and then documenting those facts in his own language, in his own style, and then present it first. Speak that language. At least create few statements in your language and express yourself in that language first. And then you will come to know what math language is. And then you can speak that language, and then we can go for operations, functions, word mass rule, and all those algebraic equations and ratio, proportion, everything will come later. First, language. And so this was a Pi Day celebration in our institute, and these girls have presented their math um, facts in the form of a book. So we just had a book presentation ceremony. So it was so these girls are not at all having interest in math. They just hate math. So they have drawn cartoons on maths. They have written those whatever they feel about maths. They have written it in that book. So this was our first exercise with mathematics. And these students really enjoyed. And slowly now they are taking interest because they are used to with the language. They are familiar with the language. Now they can speak the language. They have written their own book. Okay, so book is just one format. It can be represented in any way. Now there are many tools, modern tools available. They can make a flip book. They can make any. They can use any other uh, like presentation tool to present their own knowledge. But this is, yes, they should get an opportunity to present their own knowledge, which they have earned through this language. Now, why we have to integrate this language? Why to integrate this language, and why to have such modules in the curriculum? So it is all going back to brain studies. All of us are educators, and all educators are aware that uh, that right brain, left brain, and different kinds of intelligence, they are having their own harmony with them. So if you talk about creativity, then there is some logic. If you talk about insight, creativity, then there is some analytics here. If you talk about music awareness, then there is some again language here. So they are complementing each other. So when you are singing, suppose you are singing a song, you are actually giving stimulus to your intuition, to your music awareness, to your numbers, to the poetry, to your language and logic. So all these characteristics you are exposing yourself to. And how is it useful? How do these number skills come into art? And how does the language come in art? How does the like we understand that intuition, yes, it is the element of art. Imagination is element of art. Creativity. But how do they come in mathematics? How are they related to mathematics? That we will understand in next few slides. But for now, we have to understand that yes, art integrated modules are important because they are giving stimulus to left and right brain functions. And more brain active, you are having uh, more of your capacities used. Now the question is how to create these art integrated modules. Now, when we are creating these modules, then we want a we have to integrate the knowledge of art, then knowledge of mathematics, and knowledge of teaching methodology. So when we integrate these three, then we are integrating when we are integrating these three, then we are creating a module, complete learning module, which is integrated in art as well as language and mathematics. So these three are the driving forces behind running of a integrated module. And today, all over the world, even in STEM education, The integrated modules, art integrated modules, are really playing a big role. And Government of India has also designed few laboratories all over the India, almost 10,000 laboratories in India, which are called ATL laboratories, Atal Tinkering Labs. And they all are intending towards this knowledge of art, mathematics, and technology together to create integrated modules of learning and to give the learning environment to students. And integrated learning to give a multidisciplinary approach. So we are only speaking these words, but in these laboratories, the activities are carried out because I was working as ATL in charge of a laboratory which was set up in India, which was among first few laboratories in India. So I have seen all this process from a very um, close uh, from a very close lookout, that all these modules run hand in hand and they give the holistic picture to the students. Yes. So when we talk about this comparison of art integrated versus non art integrated learning modules, yes, definitely. Um, Without art integration, the education can be made interesting. We can provide quality education, but there will be something, some element which will be missing in non-art integrated modules. And that element is nurturing polymath abilities. And today we need to apply the knowledge from one knowledge stream to solve the problems in another knowledge stream. And this ability is highly required. So today's engineer is not only an engineer, but he should be a musician also. Like Steve Jobs was an artist who could create beautiful products. So his products in electronics are nothing but a piece of techno art. So this is how it is the need of time that the engineer will not be passing his grades only having the knowledge of engineering. He should be having that X element of empathy because he is going to apply his knowledge to solve the problems of society. And to solve these problems, we need to nurture these abilities. Even it is wrong from the engineer's side to think that I'm an engineer and I can think only about machines. But what kind of machines are required? How will you decide it? How will you understand what to make? So that question is not thought of anybody else but the engineer himself. The person who is creating technology, the person who is creating today's world has to understand that he is the creator, and unless he is having these polymath abilities, he will not be able to deal with today's problems. Because now in 21st century, the life is different. The technology is changing in such a speed, in such a fast pace that we just cannot imagine. Um, like in last 20 years, when in 1999, hardly few people were having mobile phones. And in now 2023, almost every person, even a waste dealer, kabadiwala, is also having his own mobile. So this is how the technology has reached to every hand. Computer technology, internet technology has reached to every person. And now all the systems are designed around this technology. Even the life is made easy using these technologies. Harmful effects we will not be talking about right now, but then we are just talking about the positive part of it. So to have that ability, this art integration is important, and having roots to our own knowledge system is also important. That is what I feel.
Right. If you can suggest the integration of music and mathematics and in what way they can complement each other with some example.
Yes, definitely. So when we explore art in mathematics, basically all this art and all this mathematics has come from surroundings. All arts, everything, the knowledge the which human beings have achieved, documented, and presented till today is all from the surroundings. The initial knowledge was obtained by observing the nature. Secondly, the now the knowledge is obtained by manipulating the nature, or having changing the nature, surroundings around us for better control. So that is how we are having vaccines to control the attack of microorganisms on us. So this is again gaining knowledge from nature and having control for betterment of life. So all this knowledge is coming from surroundings. Mathematics is coming from surroundings. It is coming from nature. So how it comes from nature, and how the various art forms are related to mathematics. And how can we look for mathematics in each art form? That I can give few examples, and we can understand about this concept more. So when we are speaking about integrated modules, we were speaking about integrating principles of art and principles of mathematics. And we are integrating this because we want to create a um, person who is having empathy and knowledge of technology. We will understand why to create technology and what not to create in technology. So he should have his connection with nature. He should understand natural processes. How are they created? The beautiful process of photosynthesis, where water is taken and pure water is given out. No industry is doing this today. All man-made processes are taking water and then giving out polluted water, which is mixing in our rivers. The only natural process which is taking water in pure form and giving water in pure form is photosynthesis. So we have to understand something through this photosynthesis. Can we create such processes which will not pollute this environment? So now time has come to think in this direction. So to create such a person, we have to make him understand the principles of art and principles of mathematics together.
Right.
So, what are the principles of art? The balance, the emphasis, proportion of the elements, then movement. Every art form creates a movement, like dance, picture, even a film. It is expressed through movement. Something is emphasized, stressed, and that part is highlighted in every art form. So every painting has got a point of attraction. Every song has got is Dhruvapada, that is starting line, which is repeated. Then there is rhythm. Rhythm, of course, is integrated part of music. Not only music, there is a rhythm in visuals also, visual arts. So that rhythm is always maintained by those artists. A unity and variety. So how to see this integral picture of all these elements together. They are not seen separately in any art form. You cannot separate it out, right? You can cut it out from the creation, but it is integrated in it. It is just integrated. And you see the united picture, the whole picture of the art form. And articulation of these principles bring variety. This is how we bring variety in the art form. And the same principles are seen even in mathematics. So let us discuss one by one. So the very first principle is about rhythm. So how is this rhythm related to mathematics? So rhythm is nothing but we can refer it to the patterns in mathematics. And rhythm is very close to our biological systems. Our life starts with this rhythm, rhythm of heart. And that is the reason why probably there is rhythm in every art form. There is rhythm in music. There are different talas. Uh, in North Indian system, there are different talas, and they are having
We'll
different
come to that
matras.
question also. And this, but the mathematics and music question was raised by Sri Jagdev Singh. He is Vice Chancellor of Adesh University, Batenda. And there is a question on Tal. What is the mathematics behind the North Indian and South Indian Tal system? This is raised by Uddalak Samantha, Vellam Girls School, Dehradun. Please.
Yes. So it is really a wonderful question, and I would be more than happy to speak about it. Uh, I'm not trained in South Indian music, Carnatic music, but I have got training in North Indian music. So I will explain it with respect to North Indian talas. So here we are talking about rhythm. So in Indian system, there are talas. They are having definite matras, like definite beats. It is definitely not compared with beats of Western tal. We have to understand that beat of Western rhythm and matra of Indian tal is definitely not same, because we have got a different weightage to each matra. Like even if there is dha, we have got elements like dha, ta, na. There are different types of bolas of tal in Indian music, but they speak different in different talas. Like dha, if it is the first note, if it is the first matra, it will be sounding differently. If it is coming somewhere in the somewhere fourth or fifth matra, then it will be sounding differently. Its um, emphasis will be totally different. And the here the point comes that emphasis is nothing but there are few notes, there are few beats which are emphasized in Indian music system, and we call them as sama. Sama is the first beat of every tal, and there is one more beat, important beat in the tal, which we call as kal. So this sam and kal, they balance the tal, and every gharana is presenting their gaiki, yeah, based on these rhythms, based on these talas. And in Gwaler Gharana, what we call as Khane Purti, like we consider the distance between beats in such a way, and every artist fills these beats with his own creativity. And of course, every Gharana is having their own style of completing this particular avartan. So this is how we see rhythm and emphasis together with respect to mathematics. So it is all calculation. That if we start from third matra of the tal, then how to complete the avartan and achieve the first matra, that is sama. Like we have to complete the composition and we have to rest on the first matra. That is called sama, and this is the emphasis. So it is all calculation, based on calculation. And with riyaz, the musician is so used to with completing and creating patterns that many times the artist completes and arrives at some with intuition, many a times. So later on with riyaz, the artists, like the great musicians, they achieve such a stage that they just don't have to calculate anything in mind. So it is something beyond mathematics. So this is how art is taking you beyond calculation. And that is why we must include that principle in mathematics. We observe that principle in mathematics. And this is how beautifully it is coming into Indian Tal system. One more aspect of Tal is like we are having talas of say 6 matras, talas of say 7 matras, 8 matras, talas of even and odd matras, 7.5 matras. So how these tals are created? They are created through mathematics. Their bolas are designed in such a way that they create a pattern which is unique as well as rhythmic. So this is creativity and mathematics together. So if we think about a tal, trital, so the bolas go like dha, din, da, dha, din, da, dha, tin, ta, din, da, ha. So this dha is coming again. That is the first beat of next avartan. So as we think that time concept, time is linear. Even Einstein says that time is linear. And once it is gone, it is gone. But in Indian system, tal is time is circular. Time concept is circular. And who has created this circular concept?
There, Mrudula, I'm unable to hear you. I think there is some technical glitch.
Yes, yes. There was a power cut off. I'm just joining again, connecting again in
Please.
1 minute.
Yes. Welcome back, Mrudula. So you were interestingly communicating about the rhythmic patterns, mathematics, and music. So there is a query from Lakshmi Tripathi. She's principal, DPS, Delhi World Public School. How can we implement this at class level with the students?
Yes. Sorry, there was a power cut off, sudden power cut off. It is raining heavily here. So
Okay,
I'm back.
please. Should I repeat the question? There is a query from.
Yes, in TAL system, question about TAL system.
Yeah, there is a query from Ms. Lakshmi Tripathi. She's principal, Delhi World Public School. She has raised, how can we implement this at class level with the students?
Yes, I'll be sharing few activities at the end, how to
Okay.
implement and how to take this subject to the students.
Please.
So, because only talking philosophy does not make any sense. I am also a teacher, and I have been practicing these. I have created many worksheets and activities also, so that actually working at ground level is with students is important. So now just I want to reveal the beauty of mathematics. I want to reveal the points where mathematics and art come together. And if there is a teacher who understands music and or an art lover, then he can use this knowledge to create his own activities and take it to the students, his own students. So we were speaking about rhythm and emphasis, where we discussed about the sum and kal and the how are the bolas distributed. Then balance, proportion, and movement. We have these are the elements of art. Now, how do we see them in mathematics? So actually, we see them in how do we see them in art? In Indian classical music. I will be speaking about Indian classical music perspective because when we are talking about art integration, many times we see that most of the times the integration happens with Western music, like tuning the poem or tuning the tables. So, to this extent, we have achieved art integration. But I think that is art application and not integration in true sense. So, then what is art integration? Integration is integrating these principles of art into mathematics. So, when we are studying art, mathematics, when we are studying patterns, then we see all these principles. When we are solving equations, we see all these elements. So one by one, I will explain the points. So when we talk about balance, proportion, and movement, we think about a song or a bandish or a musical composition, which is having which is having a tune, and tune is nothing but the movement. And that is what we see in mathematics. Like when we balance the equations, we move the terms from LHS to RHS. We find something common. We keep some proportion. So deriving some equation, expanding some formulae, all these require this principle of balance, principle of movement. So now if we want to prove a cube minus b cube, then how to use the formula of a minus b bracket square to prove this and achieve the expansion formula? It is nothing but movement. You're just moving that minus 3a into bracket a minus b to other side and you are balancing the equation and thereby you are just creating the proportion. So this mathematical proof is coming from these elements. We are balancing the equation. We are keeping the proportion of quantities. We are moving the terms from LHS to RHS. And the same principles are observed in Indian classical music, especially when we are thinking of different ragas. So When we think about ragas, in every rag, there is a different combination of notes. And not only combination, within that combination, within that set of notes, there is a different proportion of notes. So, for example, there are few ragas coming from parent scales. So, all these parent scales are created mathematically. Like we consider that there are 7 notes and sa, re, ga, ma, pa, dha, ni, sa. And the sa is nothing but the first sa is and the tar saptak sa. They complement each other. So this is nothing but the balance. Now in this through saptak we choose few notes and we create raga. Each note is having its movement. Through this movement, sometimes it can change its frequency. So sometimes the swara becomes reduces its frequency. We say that this note is komal swara. So re, ga, dha, ni. These 4 notes, they move and change their frequency to a lower one. Madhyam can change its frequency to the higher note. So all this knowledge has come from the experiments which Bharat Muni has performed. Bharat Muni is famous for his Natya Shastra, right? So Natya Shastra, in his he has performed one experiment of Sarana Chatushti. It is a famous experiment. Most musicians know it. So what he did, it is all physics. He has taken 2 different veenas and then he created a scale, a note, and then he changed his note. That time the notes were not known. Even 7 notes were not created. The music was with only 3 notes. So in Bharat Muni's time, there were 7 notes. But before that, there were, in Vedic period, their notes were only 3. And they were named as Udatta, Anudatta, and Swarit. And the compositions were created using only 3 notes. And even today, we have got the kind of tunes. Like if na 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 na. So all Vedic ruchas are sung in this tune. Only 3 notes. And not only this, they have placed them on the fingers and they call it as Gatra Veena. So this mathematical knowledge they have transposed into human body. And this is how they were remembered. This is how they were writing notation. Like today we have computers to write notation. But they were writing notation on fingers. Now this creation has come from mathematics. Now we will talk about proportion. So I would like to give one example. Like there are 10 parent thoughts, which we call as parent scales, we call it. They are termed as thought. And through these parent scales, the ragas originate. Again, there is mathematics behind it. If the raga is having 5 notes, then it is called Odav raga. If the raga is consists of 6 notes, then it is Shadava. And if the raga is consisting of all 7 notes, then it is Sampurna raga. And many ragas, they are created using combination of this. So again, pattern. So this creation is nothing but mathematics. So how are they correct? How are they joined? Like Odav pattern, if we are taking this small piece, small combination of notes, like sa, re, ga, pa, dha, sa. We will omit Madhyam and Nishad. Only sa, re, ga, pa, dha, sa. Now using these notes, 2 different ragas are created and I will just demonstrate it. how knowledge of mathematics is used to create art. Sa re ga pa dha sa ga pa ga re sa. Only 5 notes. Odava raga, sa re ga pa dha. Only 5 notes. Now these notes are presented differently, emphasized differently. Now in this combination, in this set of notes, if we emphasize on Gandhar, then Hoop Rag is created. If we have a particular combination of notes or Chalan, what we say, then we can create the picture of Hoop Rag. Or if we stress on Uttaranga, that is from Pancham to Shadja, Tara Shadja, like if we emphasize Dhaivat and Shadja, then it is going to give you the framework of Deshakar Raga.
Can you explain if there is an example of the same with Western notation system?
In Western notation system, it is all pre-decided. Means the musician creates it, writes it, records it, means documents it, and the musicians play the same notes. In Indian music system, there is a freedom within boundliness, I would say. Like only frames are created, and means a canvas is created. Tal is a canvas. The group of notes and their chalan is a canvas. Now it is given in the hands of musician to create his own art. There are some bandish also ready, but there is a freedom to the artist to create his own bandish and present his own raga in his own style.
Beautiful. No, this is a question from Shivani Arora. So what I'm able to understand the question, the use of mathematics in creating Western notation system.
In creating Western
notation system. Since it is pre-decided, it is pre-formulated, rather, I'll say.
Yes, yes, yes.
So I think.
So, yes, definitely. That is again a creativity. To understand the Mozart symphonies, it takes a lot of time. See, it is a lot of hard work. It is a lot of creativity. But they have done it once, and the other musicians are like playing the same in their with their own set of band troops. But in Indian system, we are creating only frames. We are having only we can say the pieces of jigsaw puzzle, right? And what to create is up to the artist. So that much freedom is there for Indian in Indian classical music.
Okay, we are moving to the another question. This is from Pooja Haldar. She's from Sri Shikshayatan School. She's a mathematics teacher. The question is, how can we encourage lifelong learning and adaptability in students to prepare them for challenges of the future? This is the first part. Second part is, how can standardized testing and assessments be adjusted to better measure a well-rounded education that includes not only academics but also critical life skills? So this question is focusing on the challenges of life and critical skills for life.
Yes, I will definitely address this question. I will complete this elements of art part, and then I will address that question after this. So when we are talking about the elements of art, now emphasis, movement, they are all creating a variety and giving the united uniform picture of raga, and along with tala. See, there are many layers, and they all come through mathematical thinking. So we should not miss this thread of mathematics connecting with Indian classical music. And we should bring it to the classroom situation. For example, we can give them an exercise where we will ask them to create raga. They can create their own raga. Give them harmonium. Let them play the raga on the harmonium. At least get the feel what you have created. Maybe that raga has been created by ancient musicians in past. Then the music teacher can tell them, oh yes, what you have created is actually this raga. Or it is close to that raga. Because probably the new child will not be able to create raga, which is actually mentioned in Shastras, but that is not expected. He should understand the principles of art and mathematics. So today we have all Minecraft and we have all those Legos. So what is this? These are Lego of art. These are Lego pieces of art which we can create world out of it. Yes, it is abstract, but mathematics is also abstract. So if through this art, through music, if we bring the hold the hands of a child, then child will get a comfort. He will come in a comfort zone and will be more close to mathematics. He will not find it something coming from um, something which is not from his own world. When he will understand, oh, there is music in this, there is something which I can create in this, right? So it is not that the child has to understand only equations of probability. Child can learn, child can solve numericals based on how what is the probability of creating ragas through these notes. We should create such numericals and give them to solve. So till time we are not using the capability of classical music to teach mathematics. Similarly, we can create numericals based on talas. Like in tala, we have in movement we have got different laya, right? So druta laya, madhya laya. So and we have got again different versions of laya. Deed lay, aad lay, like 1.5 times, half times, duppat, tippat, chaupat. So all these are different types of lay which we are playing in music. Children are listening to it, but they don't understand that, okay, this is duppat, this is 2 times. So when we are teaching multiplication, we should give them a feel, like we are making it 2 times, like dha, din, hin, dha. I have played 4 bolas. Now, in the same time, you play 2 bolas. How many times I have to sing it? Naturally, if I'm giving weightage of 2 matras to one, then I will sing probably 2 times. Then, din, da, din, da. I have covered 8 matras in 4 matras. Means I have compressed it. Which science is giving this feel to students?
So,
So it is not only mathematics is not it is art, it is living. You can create art using mathematics. So let them create patterns, let the students create the movements, let them create the points of emphasis. When the point of emphasis changes, how the entire scenario changes, and the uniform entire united picture, the whole and soul picture, that also changes.
right. So, in between, there is a query from Ramki Saha. She has raised how slow learners can be helped with this method.
Yes, actually, slow learners and fast learners, these are all created because uh, based on certain tests, right? And these tests are basically they include uh, some part of mathematics, language, and some tests are based on where the language and numbers are not at all required. Such tests are also there. But these tests are usually performed at the when the child does not score marks in school exams, right? So probably we should rethink before stamping a child. We should always rethink what exactly is slow learning and what speed you want that child to achieve.
Okay, correct.
So you are looking from your perspective. If the child is studying some learning something in 8th standard and he is appearing very well for board exams, yeah, which he has not learned in 6th standard, it is okay. For me, it is absolutely okay. No need to stamp any child with slow learner. So we should actually stop uh, this slow learner type of thing. There is nothing slow. We are slow. Everyone is slow in some or the other manner.
Relative term.
Yes, it is relative term. So now
So,
just yes,
yes, over to you.
yeah. So let us just observe this pattern. Uh, Now, this diagram will remind you of some theorem. Yes, those who are mathematics teachers, they must have understood. Somewhere it is close to Pythagoras theorem. Like there is a right angle triangle here, and there is a square constructed on each side. And this is the proof of Pythagoras theorem that the area on the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of area on other two sides. Now I'm creating another pattern, taking this side of square as hypotenuse, and I have created another right angle triangle. And now I have created another square. Sorry for the resolution, it is looking like a rectangle due to some problem in resolution, but it is, please assume it as square. So this is the square. This is another square. Again, on the same side, we have created another pattern. And if we go on creating this pattern, increasing this pattern on every side of the um, square in each step, then imagine the pattern. See this triangle and this triangle. This is the smaller one. The next one will be still smaller. The next one will be still smaller. So the each element of this pattern is becoming smaller and smaller and smaller. But at the same time, the entire pattern is growing, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So exactly same thing happens in Laikari. That within that small framework, the layer goes on increasing, the pattern goes on becoming small, but the articulation is such that overall pattern keeps on growing. And this is what happens in Indian classical music. So this diagram very well represents the Indian classical music, the Laikari patterns of Indian classical music. Now, this is called fractals. This is called fractal geometry. And we have not included this part in anywhere in school curriculum. But which is the very interesting part where the student comes to know that how this pattern has come from nature. So we have understood what exactly is this pattern and how is it growing. So the pattern is repeating and the pattern is getting smaller and entire pattern is growing into another big pattern. Now let us have a look at this pattern. Again, we are seeing the same pattern in this succulent. Like the leaves of succulent are growing, the pattern is growing from inside. This is the growth point. Meristematic tissue is here. And the pattern is growing from inside to outside. The same pattern is growing from here, from inside to outside. And you can literally see those petals coming out from this pattern. This is fractal. See, the innermost leaf is very small. It is the replica of same pattern which is repeating. So individual unit is becoming smaller, but overall pattern is growing. So the new leaves which are coming, they are small. but overall pattern is growing. Sometimes it is this spiral. And the growing point is here in the center. So growing point is very small. These are all natural patterns. And they all resemble to Fibonacci numbers. So this is how Fibonacci numbers and golden ratio and the pattern and fractals, they are all related to nature. So this is the shell of a marine animal. Again, the growing point is here and the pattern is growing, forming a spiral. Now there are more fractals observed. So this is cauliflower which we eat. Again, the same pattern is seen. Individual unit is repeating. It is becoming smaller because growing point is here. And then overall cauliflower is growing big. Overall pattern is growing. This is a fern leaf. We can see that the same pattern is repeated here. And to each leaflet, and again the same pattern, growing point is here. Smaller parts are at the growing tip, and they are the smaller units, and overall pattern is growing. We can see the same fractals in branching of veins on the leaves. These are again fractals. We breathe fractals, There are fractals in our lungs. So this is the trachea, and then it is branching into 2 bronchi, and then bronchioles, 3-level branching. And further they are branching into alveoli. See, branching, and branching. The overall pattern unit is becoming smaller, but the overall pattern is growing. So this is again example of fractals in nature. When the lightning happens, that is also a fractal. This one, for a fraction of a second. That branching is again giving us the effect of fractals, even if it is for a moment. Now let us see the geometry behind it. So if we take a simple line, how do these fractals grow? So this is stage 0. Divide it into 4 parts. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the fractal is growing here, right? Individual is becoming smaller. Now each side is divided into 4. So this pattern, we are getting this pattern here. Now each small side is divided here. So we are getting stage 3 here. Again, it is divided and we are getting stage 4 here. If you observe the overall pattern, it is growing like this: 1, 2, 3, and 4. And it forms a snowflake pattern. Again, natural element. Beautiful snowflake pattern. This is an example of fractal. Individual pattern is becoming smaller, but the overall pattern is growing. And which is very close to Indian classical music, where within the framework of tal, the individual pattern keeps on growing. Individual pattern is divided into small matras, but overall pattern grows and it is completed and arriving at some. That is what is a fractal. Let it be alap, tan, anything. So few more examples of fractals here. If we take example of, say, this triangle, so this is the same example. Let us take example of this tree fractal. So first level, then 2 branches. Now each one is branching into 2. Each one is branching into 2. Each level. So this is first level from 1 to 2, 2 to 4. Mathematical pattern is growing. Visual pattern is also growing. 8, 16. Now individual unit is becoming smaller and smaller and smaller. And now one more thing you will observe here, that the growth is only at the edge. And this is what Mandelbrot has observed in Mandelbrot set. This is very close relation, having very close relation to Mandelbrot set. Now, if we put this in numbers, we can show the art behind Mandelbrot set and how it varies only between 0 to 1. That also pattern we can show it to the junior college students. Probably they will be able to understand. Now observe this triangular pattern. This triangle is dark black, and now this triangle is repeated 3 times, 1, 2, 3. We are having a big triangle, pattern is growing. Again, next, now this unit is repeating 3 times, 1, 2, 3. Now this whole unit is repeating again 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and this pattern will keep on growing like this. Now exactly opposite to this, if we take another example of the white triangle here. Here we have taken the example of black triangle. If we take the example of white triangle, then we can see that the pattern will grow, but exactly in the opposite way, exactly in the different way, right? Now let us see this more fractals in Indian sculpture. Beautiful temple. I don't know how many fractals are there. How many to count? There are countless. But I'll show you a few examples. A, B, C. I've just formulated them. So this is one. And this diagram shows the TS, means section, cross section. So this is the cross section of A. This is the cross section of B. And this is the cross section of C. Now these structures resemble this, and this patterns in the actual building. And probably this is the plan. Now you can see that the fractals are again growing only at the edge. Middle pattern is remaining same. And this is nothing but the Mandelbrot set. So I don't know how many years this temple is old, how many centuries old. So that time, the art is created using fractal geometry. So now these patterns are growing. Now here, this is what the whole pattern. Now in the B part, it is one part of the fractal. Now this whole structure is repeating here. 1, 2, 3, I can see. Similarly, in this diagram, in this picture, again, we can see if we consider this as individual unit, then again, this unit is repeated along all the sides of the temple. If we consider this small unit as pattern, then that is repeated. If we consider this small unit as pattern, so this is a combination of patterns. This is really higher order thinking of patterns. And these are intricate patterns, beautifully articulated, and that to stone carving, means it is a lot of hard work, technology, engineering, heart of an artist. Everything is involved, and we get to see such kind of temples in South India, even in Gujarat, Rajasthan. So coming back to Indian classical music, now let us see how are these fractals observed in nature, in Indian classical music, actually. So Indian classical music is nothing but, it is included singing, vadan, that is playing instrument, and nritya, that is dance, all together. So singing, dancing, and playing instrument all together. Gitam, vadam, tatha cha nrityam, trayam sangeetam uchyate. So all three are part of music, Indian classical music. So instrumental music is not separate. Yes, of course, we are having concerts, but science is saying that it is all together because they cannot be separated. Now, when we speak about singing, there are patterns of singing, ragas and their tunes and their patterns are in one part. In Vadan, that is tal or instruments, their patterns, their fractals are going in another fashion. In dance, again, we are getting their own movements and their own balance together. And music is confluence of patterns in all three. And that is why it is so beautiful. And that is why it is so intricate. And that is why uh, anybody can sing, but there are few singers. Uh, Here, I would like to take note of the question about testing. So we really have to test the musical quotient of students, because this is going to give us many answers, which and many skills, many capabilities of students, which remain undiscovered at school level. So today we all are having all those tests, and if the child is really suffering in his life, okay, he is not getting marks, means he is not suffering. His parents are suffering, his teachers are suffering. So we have to look at this suffering of child, means if child is really struggling to read, child himself is struggling to read numbers and understand, only then we have to go for some sort of psychological testing or helping. Not only because the child is uh, having less score in school exams. All of us have to understand that school exams really encompass not even 5% of capabilities of a person. So they are not complete. And it is just not possible for any school in present scenario to evaluate the child to its full extent. हम लोगों को भी देखिए, even we cannot understand a person to its full extent. How can we understand a growing fractal to its full extent? So it is, according to me, unless the child is suffering, please do not think about any testing. Only with medical under medical supervision, under the professional supervision. If the professionals insist, then only we should go for some kind of testing for the child. Otherwise, let him live his life. He will find his way. He will live like water. And water always finds his way. Trust him.
Right. So can we move to the next question?
Yes.
This
So
is
because
from-
now I will be showing 3 clippings and then we can conclude.
Okay, we have 3 questions. This is from Aisha Hiram. She's from Shikshayatan School. She's a mathematics teacher. How to integrate technology more and more in teaching of mathematics?
Yes, if the child is learning and technology was really a boon during COVID times. We all teachers have used technology, but still I feel um, at early age, the child should be introduced to technology um, by giving a knowledge to him like how to create the technology. We should not encourage the child to use the technology more and more. We should empower him to create the technology. Um, he should use technology only to understand his surroundings, where he cannot go. Like if he wants to see the volcanic eruption, which is definitely not possible to show. So in that scenario, we can use technology. But otherwise, child should be encouraged to use his senses to learn many things.
Right. Hands-on skills are more important. For virtual, material, it is appropriate to use technology. Otherwise, it needs to be
Yes.
physical.
means technology cannot replace, is not a replacement. It should be used as a like a supporting, or it should take the child beyond classroom. It should take the child beyond the limits of the classroom. Then we can use technology for that purpose. Like if you want to give the child an experience that he is in human body, and he is traveling from heart to organ along with blood cells, then you can use virtual, you can use augmented reality for that matter. So that experience is really, really a unique experience for the child, because child cannot, literally it is not possible to show a heart and blood vessels in working condition
Similarly, in medical profession, it's not
in medical
possible
profession.
for each time that you get a human body. In that case, a simulated model or virtual model can be shown to them.
Yes.
So this is a question from Smita Nidia. She's principal of NSK International School. I think we have already addressed, but still, how can music in mathematics evolve as a subject with a rhythm that would eradicate the fear of mathematics amongst students? Any additional point if you would like to add?
Yes, we have to create more and more activities. We have to create more and more art integrated modules, and we have to put it in front of the students. We have to change the starting point of mathematics, basically, from numbers to language. This will definitely help students to be proficient in the language, and then when once they speak the language, they become proficient in the mathematics. They understand the what they are doing, why they are doing, and the interest is also maintained in the subject.
And they will also start enjoying mathematics in the same way they enjoy other subjects, because then it
Right,
becomes a language rather than numbers or figures.
right. So that is what mathematics is to be taught like art and
Language,
language more.
right. So she's Nivedita Nath from Kalahandi University. I think we have been discussing around this question only. How to teach creativity in classroom situation. I think we have already, half of the
Yes,
session was, full of creativity in classroom activities. Still, if you want to add some point, and then we subsequently proceed for the concluding slides.
yes. Actually, I think every topic, not only mathematics, in every subject, like in our today's school system, we have got separate subjects. But in Indian knowledge system, the system thinks that it is not a different physics, chemistry, biology. They are not different subjects. Urdhva Moolam Adhar Shakha. This is the entire picture of knowledge as described in Bhagavad Gita. So we see the knowledge as one. We see the knowledge as one. It is not differentiate, and all these are the branches of the same tree. So we have to establish this content first, this concept first. That knowledge is one, and whatever different branches exist, they are not apart from each other. Like mathematics and music, they are not different. Many people ask me, "You are a musician, you have done MSc, how come you are singing? How come you are teaching mathematics?" It is not like that. Knowledge is one. It is all Gyan Ganga. It is one. And we all are sailors. We are getting the blessings of Ma Saraswati from this. We have to understand. And when we talk about creativity, uh, we cannot like teach creativity, but yes, we can create an environment which will promote creativity. And that is through giving different experiences and giving them habit, making them habit of articulating the patterns together.
Yes. As well, the NEP also endorses about multidisciplinary approach. So you are already exercising that.
Yes, I have. We have
You use
discussed about.
biology, you use music, you use mathematics. That's how, in a holistic manner, subject should be taught. So please.
So one activity I would like to introduce. So this is the pyramid of notes, swara, and I have put it in the form of a Pascal's triangle. Now we can, um, and I have color coded it as per rainbow. Like you can see, Sa is red everywhere, like Ray is orange. So it is Vibgyor pattern, color pattern. Now we can uh, introduce computational thinking using this pyramid. Like we can set questions based on musical patterns. So create a musical pattern, choose any area, try to play it on the instrument. Okay, if children do not know which are the notes, you can put stickers initially on the harmonium if children are too small, or um, actually any note from the harmonium can become sa, but they are too young to understand this. We can give them exercise, choose any area, play it on the harmonium, and get the feel of the musical composition. We can give them color codes, making a pattern of color code, and play this color code. And then what musical pattern is coming out through this? So mathematics, come music, come musical. Ultimately, what is coming out is creation. And this is how you have to design the activities. That ultimately it should be applying the principles at mental level and creating something visual, because visuals are very important for students and colors are close to heart to students. They love using colors. So if we can create a color pattern, suppose now I make a color pattern using red, orange, blue, or red, yellow, blue. And what is it? Sa, ga, pa. I can sing colors. I can sing notes, or they can play this game together. Like someone will give them code. This can be converted into a game. This can be converted into assignment, mathematics assignment. This can be converted into assignment of music, come mathematics. So this is how creatively you have to design the tools for students. Now we are not giving them numericals from textbook as assignment in formative evaluation. We have to give them something which will challenge their creativity, which will give um, space to their creativity. Now this will engage entire class together, and there will be, I'm sure, with variation. If we take now here, I have taken all Shuddha notes. If we take Komal, only Ray Komal will give you n number of patterns. Now for 8th standard students, you can give numerical. If I make Ray Komal only in this row, then how many? What are the probable patterns that come out? This will come in probability. So you can design questions based on the topics which are useful for students, which are in the curriculum. But the tool is same. I am using the same tool, same activity, right from standard 5 to standard 10. But the questions are different. The orientation is different. The application is different. And the creation is different. And the expectation is different. So this is how actually in the classroom situation, we can bring this articulation. Now I have created on notes. We can create such pattern of uh, tal in different format. Now this is pyramid. It can be any different shape, different format. Use your creativity and create it. So you can teach fractions using Laikari. Because what is it? Half, quarter, one and a half. It is all fractions. So with Indian Tal, you can teach fractions using it. You can teach LCM and HCF. How? There is a Tal, Trital. How can you fit Tal, Ek Tal and Tal, Jap Tal in 16 beats of Tal, Trital with this particular what lay, given the lay. So what should be the lay of these two talas? We are not creating numericals like this. We are only giving them, इसने इतने खेत में इतना बोया, उसने उतना बोया, कितना fraction आया. But think beyond it. So this is creativity. Do you think children will not love working on these problems? They will definitely work. And the outcome they can play on instrument. That is the important thing. So this is how it should be brought to the classroom situation. So now can we conclude with these
Yes, please.
the clipping? So I would like to demonstrate those fractals. In Indian classical music. So she is Vedanti Bhagwat. She is my friend who is the Kathak dancer from Pune. And she has happily given permission to play her clipping in this webinar. Is it audible?
Visuals are there, but audio is not there.
Yeah, I'll play it again. I would like to play one more clipping where actually the numbers are played. She is playing the numbers.
जास्त पोषण, जास्त देखभाल, डव आता 20%.
Next presentation is on Pythagoras theorem, where Dr. Jelam Paranzapeji, who is from Maharashtra, she has presented Pythagoras theorem as a dance performance. So we have to encourage students. Is it audible?
Yes.
Design in Odyssey style. Is the famous peacock and snake problem from Lilavati. So we can set up such dance performances on different theorems.
अस्ति स्तम्भतले पिलं तदुपरि क्रीडाशिखण्डी स्थितः स्तम्भे हस्तनवोच्छ्रिते त्रिगुणितस्तम्भप्रमाणान्तरे दृष्ट्वा हि बिलमाव्रजन्तमपतत् तस्योपरि क्षिप्रं ब्रूहि दयोर्बिलात् कतिमितैः साम्येन गत्योर्युतिः।
Father, you are insatiable, but you know I love geometry. So you conveniently make a peacock perch on a pillar rather than dance in the woods. This is the pillar. It is 9 hands tall. At the base is a snake hole. Here comes the peacock, and poor bird, for your sake, he perches himself on the pillar. A snake approaches the snake hole from a distance, thrice that of the pillar. That is 27 hands. Look, here comes the snake. And look what happens. The peacock fights it. Swoops down upon it diagonally. And as fate would have it, the peacock catches the snake. If both have the same speed, what is the distance between this point and the snake hole? We have again a right angle triangle. The pillar, the flight of the peacock, and the ground. Take the square of the distance covered by the peacock. From this, subtract the square of the height of the pillar. The answer is square root of this quantity, which is 12 hands.
Beautiful. Mr. Sudhir has raised his hand.
Hello.
सुधीर जी, आप कुछ सवाल पूछना चाहते हैं?
Yeah, it's a quite interesting lecture. So I'm very grateful to you because I read the book Chaos and Fractals, and many points you have covered in your lecture. One point I would like to ask you, you have not covered Fourier series, which explains the music. So have you deliberately forgotten, or have you deliberately taken away that Fourier series problem?
No,
Uh,
I think time constraint, probably. Mrudula ji, you want to add?
yes, actually, this lecture was for keeping in mind the students of K-12 grade up to K-10 grade, standard 10. So I have not even considered Mandelbrot set. Even I have not. I've just spoken about it, but not shown how it is 0 to 1, and that series also I have not considered here. But yes, definitely sometimes we can. That is also a different perspective, and even yes, chaos and how chaotic systems are more harmonious. That part is also again related to more related to Indian classical music, I would say. That will also that I would also like to speak, but some other time.
And second point, may I raise?
Please.
Yeah, as you know, Saregama, Padhani, all these are having definite frequencies. For Sa, for example, Sa has got 512 hertz frequencies. But so far, I have read Indian culture, Indian spiritual culture. I have not got anywhere the term frequency. So
Yes.
but still, how they have maintained the rhythm without knowing the frequencies, wavelength, or amplitude terms. So, what is the beauty of this Indian music that without knowing these terms, notations, how they have maintained this rhythm or this style and so many things? So, what is the beauty you can explain, or you will try
Yes.
to guide me?
Yes, definitely there is a logic behind it, and there is a science behind it. I have learned from my gurus that in Indian tradition, there was no frequency pre-decided frequency. Like the singer can sing as per his own voice, as per his own pitch. And that is why we were having Veena as the instrument for accompaniment. Because Veena is not having any fixed frequency. The
Okay.
singer can accommodate, uh, the singer can adjust the frequencies as per his own scale, as per his own singing scale, as per his own vocal cords. So that is the biggest facility which Indian instruments, accompaniment, and everyone has given to Indian classical music as a singer. And that is the reason all these concepts of frequencies they have come from Western music when especially on Indian All India radio they started playing harmonium. So from so then question was arising for tuning of harmonium because harmonium is a certain discrete scale. It is not a continuous scale. And for achieving this discrete scale, they want to have certain definitely they have to have a number. So the frequencies were used from piano, and that is why even today some many musicians have worked on it, and they are trying to tune the harmonium which is suitable for Indian classical music. They are using the frequencies and even I would like to tell you that Rishabh, Komal Re, even if we say Komal Re, Shuddha Re, that is also not same in all ragas in Indian classical music. That frequency also varies, and that you have to learn. That is why Indian classical music is preserved through vocal tradition. If you take example of Raga Todi and Raga Marwa, both are having Komal Rishabh, but a singer or a guru can literally show the difference in frequencies of the same Komal Rishabh, which is applied in these two ragas. So that is the reason Indian classical music does not come from definite frequencies. It does not come. It comes from combinations. And so for many years, Puneet sir will be knowing that harmonium was banned in All India
All India
Radio
Radio,
and
yes.
yes,
And as well, harmonium is not an Indian instrument.
yes,
It's not an Indian. And of late, it was, I think, uh, later stage of 18th century, it was introduced in India.
yes, that ban was removed and the harmonium is now. But now there are a lot of techniques available, and many harmonium players are using like Gandhar tuning and different types of tuning, and they are using different harmoniums for different types of ragas also. So that is another thing, that they have to maintain different instruments. So that people don't know. But the harmonium players maintain different harmoniums for even for male, female singers, even for different types of ragas. They keep some special tuned harmoniums for special ragas, for special singers. So that is again another job for harmonium players. But yes, uh, Veena and Sarangi is more close to achieving. If we speak about achieving those frequencies, yes, then string instruments are convenient.
Okay. And one more. Will you allow one more question?
Please, please. It's interesting.
And you have talked about fractals in our ancient temples. So quite interesting and most advanced branch today. Nowadays, many more research is going on. Many more researchers are doing work on that. So, but unfortunately, I never found the architecture of any temple, ancient temple, anywhere in the script or manuscript or.
It's not documented.
So what was
Not
the reason, or it has been deliberately, we can say destroyed, or deliberately it has been kept aside to allow the
Secret.
Western culture or so? What is your opinion? Of course, this is my approach as a physicist. I am physicist. I am a researcher in physics. So I am looking in that point of view, that deliberately this knowledge was depressed deliberately, or to propagate their knowledge. What is your opinion?
uh, my opinion is, like, I have observed that Indians were not very particular in documentation also. Most of the knowledge was transferred through oral tradition or through family disciples. Even music, those artists, they were delivering their knowledge to in their families. So that is why even everywhere we have families of those artisans.
Runners.
We have running their family businesses, because the structure was based on, the economy was based on like those bara balutedars who were like, and there are even those castes are formed based on their skills. So that is all the tradition. So probably they did not require only to write that knowledge, because they were growing in that knowledge right from childhood. So maybe they did not think that it is necessary to record it somewhere.
As well, even
Probably,
in Gurukul system, it was transforming knowledge from one person to another person. So it was more empirical, more through own experiences, right? So that's why there was no need to, make it documented or making it standardized. So that's why it was having more flexibility and innovation. That's why even today, a new group can create more ragas by combining two, three different ragas.
yes,
That's why
still it is still growing. It has not stopped. Like Mozart symphony is created, it is created for centuries, it is there.
still the
But
same.
Indian raga, which is created since centuries, people are exploring. Like Pandit Bhimsen Joshi used to say, people used to ask him, why are you not singing so many ragas? Why are you singing Yaman 100 times? So he said, like, let me learn Yaman
नमन तो
completely
पूरा कर
first.
लेगा.
इसको पूरा कर लेते हैं.
But
Absolutely.
that's why we have lost our glory. Don't you think that we have lost our glory because of this such type of behavior?
And that's how we are trying to reclaim now. It's better late than never. We are documenting through formal education or informal education. Many IITs, they are doing working on these projects. Almost all central government funded institutions, they have given additional projects to preserve or recreate or document such knowledge in a knowledge system. Separate department
Yes.
has also been formed.
And now even our CPAM or if IPAM department is very active, and proactively they are giving GI tags to the local artisans.
Yes.
That project has been taken up by the department. So in the history of India, for the first time, it is happening that government is approaching artisans or artists and asking them to take GI tag for their art. So this is how so many products have got their tags, and now it has been documented. And in future, I will say that it won't happen.
To make Indian economy as a robust economy, of course, patents are needed, and that's how holistic efforts are being taken at grassroots level. And if you see in last couple of years, the way the number of patents have been increased, and the time duration that was taken earlier, maybe 4 to 5 years used to take time to get a patent. Now it is around 1 year or approximately 1 year. Patents are being awarded. So thank you, Mrudula ji, for this interesting session, and thank you, Sudhir ji, for raising very vital and relevant questions. And I extend thanks to all the viewers, those who send their queries through registration or in the live mode. Mrudula ji, it was really enlightening and very special session for all of us. And I tell you honestly, usually we extend our time from 5 to 6:50, and we have exceeded that limit. And there was no reason to stop in between. Still there is a need. I feel that one more session is needed on higher education, and we'll discuss and let's try to package it for higher education as well. Thank you once again. Sure. Thank you all. And those who want e-certificates, they can download after filling the feedback form. Anand Roopji has already given the link in the chat box. And I extend Anand Roopji, Deetya, Ankarji and Nishmaji for all kind of support, and especially the backdrop and slides. They are really beautiful. Thank you once again. Thank you all.